This is a little 30-minute session that we have once a month to help women who want to succeed in the mortgage business get to the top. And today, our guest speaker is going to be Miss Laura Brandao, and she's at the top. She's over the top. It is so exciting to see, to have her as our guest speaker today. And she is also one of our founding members. And I want all of you to know that Laura, as she inspires me every day. She has Motivational Monday, and this podcast. She has Wednesday. She has What's Your Why. She had, what else is on Wednesday? It's something besides What's Your Why.
No, you're right. It's What's Your Why Wednesday.
Right.
You are correct.
And yes, and Laura is also, she has not, she is, let me tell you, she is the Women with Visions chair. And her main thing right now, she is Chief Growth Officer and partner of EPM and CEO of Lighthouse Lending Capital. And she is a chair of the Women's Committee on the NJMBA. And she is visionary chair, ambassador chair for NAMB. And I can tell you, everything that Laura does is all about helping women get to the top of their profession. And we're so lucky to have her because, she inspires us all. She is out there, podcast, she's out there everywhere you go, in any women's event, Laura's usually there. And she is a wonderful member of NAMB, and she is helping us. She was on our first session that we had at NAMB National. And I think she's going to be on, I'm asking you today, are you going to be on our NAMB Focus? I think she's answered that. All right. Well, it's exciting. Well, since our time is running short, let me go ahead and introduce you. This is Laura Brandao, our #1 women cheerleader in the whole United States. Laura Brandao.
Oh my goodness, Linda. Well, first and foremost, I am honored to be here. And ladies, for any of you out there, I would like to just know, how much does it hurt you or pain you when someone speaks about you? Right there. It's so interesting, right? You would think that we would feel so thankful and we would feel so proud of ourselves, right? But I'm the first to admit that actually makes me feel uncomfortable. I know that's really bizarre, right? Because you would think, man, why would this woman want to do all of these things if she wasn't comfortable hearing about doing those great things? Well, honestly, that's what I want to speak about today. I want to speak about how our branding goes out about us to be able to tell our story, whether that story is to our borrowers or families that we work with, whether it's our client and referral partners that we work with, or whether it's just building up what our passion and mission is, right? So to go back and piggyback a little bit of what Linda said, to introduce myself, I am Laura Brandao. I am a mortgage veteran that has done everything from sales to ops to owning a few wholesale lenders, but none of them provided me with as much recognition as my branding. Now, my story begins in 2018 when I was asked to moderate a panel for the very first time. Well, after fear and a push from my friend pushed me onto a stage, I, at that time, when I was coming off the stage, was approached by a line of women. Now, to be honest, ladies, my first initial reaction was, what did I do wrong? I actually thought I did something that was bad of why these women wanted to come up to me. Well, that wasn't what they wanted. They actually wanted to say thank you because they hadn't seen a lot of women executives up on a stage before. And in that moment, I decided that it was time for me to take to social media and to take to stages and to take to magazine articles and podcasts and all these different things, because it was time for me to share my voice outside of just the companies that I was building. And that's what I want to speak to all of you about. Because ladies, you all have something to say. You all have passion and a mission and important education and knowledge that needs to get out. But if we keep it within ourselves, that can't be magnified. What was Linda just saying? Linda was saying that I'm kind of all over the place, that people that it's synonymous with Laura and women empowerment and women having a voice in the real estate and mortgage industry. That is correct. And all of that has happened only in a few years. Not before that, no one even knew who I was, except for the people that worked for my companies. So I want to tell all of you that you need to figure out how to do this for yourself. Because regardless of what your role is within our industry, you have something special to share. So I want to start with 5 things that we're going to go over very quickly, because we're going to make this quick, ladies, that we're going to hit some tactical items to be able to get you and your voice out there. So here's the first thing. I need you to define that brand, right? Who are you? There's a woman, I mentioned this book on another call. Her name is Carla Harris. And Carla Harris is a famous woman. She was one of the first top women stockbrokers. And she's a very, very successful woman at this time. She has a book called Expect to Win. And she speaks about 3 adjectives. Now, those 3 adjectives are how people would describe you if you were not in the room, okay? Because if we think about it, promotions and decisions about who gets to go up on a stage or who gets to be on a podcast, most of those things happen without you in the room. You're not usually part of the conversation. You are usually someone reaches out to you after a group of people got together and said, you know who would be great to have on a podcast? You know who would be wonderful to get that promotion to vice president? You know who would be great to start a new company? Those conversations are happening without you there. So when you're thinking about who you are out in that marketplace, what are the 3 words? Do you want those words to be passionate? Do you want those words to be an expert in such and such type of loan program? Maybe you're dedicated to veterans because you're a veteran, or your family, you're tied to a loved one and you're passionate about veterans. Then guess what? You need to make sure that you are defined out there in your messaging that when people think about veteran lending, when people think about women empowerment, when people think about the best leader, is that you? Because whatever that strategy is, that is what you want to be tied to. So anytime that you're out there speaking in an article, out on social media, taking a picture, if that picture doesn't tie to the 3 adjectives that you want people to think about, you shouldn't be associated to it. And I used the example in a previous session. Personally, someone told me this, and I'll share this with you. You will never, ever see a picture of me holding alcohol in my hand. Ever, ever. Why? Because that does not tie to my brand. That is not something that Laura Brandao would do. So even if I'm at an event, it's very important to me that there will always be soda or water instead of anything tied to that. There's nothing wrong with having a glass of wine, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't tie to my brand. So I am very aware of the fact that that's not the messaging that I would like to have someone to have a picture of me with, because I can't control what pictures people are taking in a setting. So I want you to think about those 3 adjectives. And another little tip about that, ask a few people what the 3 adjectives would be about you. And then think, wow, people do tie me to veterans, or people do tie me to being a leader in this particular thing. If that's it, lean all in. Every messaging you put out there, you tie to what you want that to be. What is what is that? Then you need your presence. Google yourself. What comes up? And if you don't own your name on the website, go get it. And if somebody else owns your name, put your middle initial in there or add a little something to it. Regardless if you do something with it today, your name is part of your brand. So it is extremely important that you have ownership of that. And this does not matter who you are, meaning what position you have today, That is your most valuable asset, is who you are and controlling your messaging. So Google yourself and take a look and make sure that everything ties back to what that messaging is that you want to present out there. Then I want you to generate your awareness through marketing. You need to be connecting with other mortgage professionals by using every single way that you can, okay? I want you to ask questions. I'm going to give you a perfect example of this, okay? I was at the MBA's Empower event a few weeks ago at MBA National in Nashville. I have a rule. Anytime I go to an event, anytime, any event I go to, I never sit with people I know, ever. Now, I know a lot of people in the industry. I don't sit with them. I sit with strangers. I deliberately find a table with people that I don't know, or I look for the person, especially women. I look for the woman that's on her phone by herself. I promise you, that is the person you want to connect with. And I'm going to share a story just from MBA. Sat down at a table with a group of people I did not know, introduced myself to them, and then there was one woman that was all by herself. So at lunch, the other people were a group, so of course they all were speaking to each other, but me and this other woman, we were alone at that table. So we start having a conversation. Long story short, this woman was a realtor. She was not in the mortgage business. I asked her where she got her start in the real estate business. And Hank Aaron, the baseball player, Hank Aaron, gave her start in the real estate business. The real estate business she started with was with a New Edition singer. Remember the group from the 80s, New Edition? Yeah, that was her business partner. If I hadn't sat at a table that I didn't know the people and I didn't ask questions to meet her, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to get to know her, get her on my podcast, have her share that story, and now I have a new realtor relationship, and she now has a new mortgage relationship. So go out and put yourself out there and go, I'm telling you, go to the women that are by themselves on their phone. They're doing that usually because they're struggling with networking. So you can share your kindness at the same time that you can grow your business. Then I want you to remember the 3 C's of branding. The 3 C's are clarity, consistency, and constancy. Be clear in who you are and who you are not, and don't stop. Linda said, I have Motivational Monday and I have What's Your Why Wednesday. And on Friday, I have Friday. Okay, why do I do that? Seems silly, right? It's not silly. You know what it is? Accountability. When I decided to get on social media back in 2018, I had 0 presence. I had no friends. I had no followers. I had nothing, okay? I didn't even have a Facebook account for my kids. I had nothing. Well, I decided the way I make myself accountable is by doing these things tied to a day of the week. I couldn't stop. So now everyone knows every Monday, there's going to be a video up. Every Wednesday, there's going to be a podcast up. Every Friday, there's going to be a quote about something that inspired me during the week. I do this to hold myself accountable and be consistent. Ladies, you don't have to post every day. You could post 1 time a week if you want. But if you pick a day of the week, do it consistently. And the reason why it's important, people are watching you all the time. Your prospects, your current clients, your past clients, your referral partners, your friends, everyone is watching you. They may not comment, they may not share, they might not ever say anything. But when you're consistent, you're giving them a message that that's who you are. So when they work with you, they're going to get that same consistency and follow through and accountability that you are presenting out. So make sure that whatever you decide to do, stick with it because people are watching. And then the final tip is get feedback from those who know you best. The true measure of your brand is the reputation others hold of you in their hearts and their minds. Notice how they introduce you to others. Ask them what your top brand attributes are and your core strengths. If then you can easily know if those 3 adjectives are fully coming through. And remember, these days, branding the company you work for isn't enough. The world wants to hear what you have to say as a professional within that organization. The work involved in uncovering your brand may seem daunting. I know it seems overwhelming, but your efforts will last a long time past anything that you ever even do in your professional career. Thank you, Linda.
Wonderful job. I tell you what, I always learn so much, and you do bring so much to our organization. I can tell you, I'm like I tell you, I'm so inspired by Laura that I could listen to her for hours and hours and hours, and just, she's wonderful. I'm gonna tell you, girls, if you just took and you can remember half of what Laura has told you, that you're going to end up being a successful person also.